Hey YouTube, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a most carried for October 2017. You guys probably are getting used to the most carried videos now. If you're not used to it, essentially what I do is I take the knives that I've been in my pocket the most often, that have been sort of in my EDC rotation for the last month or so, and I guess we're sitting at about 5 weeks right now, and I just kind of talk about them with you, why I've been carrying them, what I like about them. Gives me a chance to talk about a bunch of different knives, gives you a chance to see a bunch of different knives, so everybody gets to win. I do have a couple of quick questions before we get started. Number one, let me know what's been in your pocket the most often, and do you carry in a similar way with a rotation, or do you just carry one knife forever? But the other question I have for you is, a couple of weeks ago, I was pretty much out of the loop. I didn't post any videos. I was doing a course that turned out to be much more involved than I initially anticipated. It was a rope rescue course, high angle rescue, and confined space rescue, which share a lot of the same principles. Anyway, what I want to ask you about along those lines is, would you like me to take some of the stuff that comes out of that course that is more broadly applicable? Okay, I'm not going to obviously share with you a lot of things that pertain to specific rescue or medical scenarios, because that's not most people's need. But there will be some things that I can take out of that course that have been extremely helpful just on a personal level that I thought I might share in a video. So let me know if you'd like to see that kind of thing in the next few weeks or not. If you want me to just stick to knives, I'm more than happy to stick to knives too. Let's go ahead though and get started with what has been in my pocket the most, and I'll try to mention kind of the situation as we go along. Some of these, as I say, are not mine, but I've been carrying them for review and really enjoying doing that. So let's get these guys out of the way. And let's see, this one can go over here. And I'm going to start with this guy. This is the Kershaw Launch. I picked this up a little while ago because I've been wanting a Kershaw Launch for comparison purposes, and I found this Damascus one. The finish on the Damascus is not amazing. You can kind of see there that it's not what I would call the most beautiful Damascus ever. But honestly, for the kind of knife this is and for the purpose that I bought it, I'm not really concerned about it, so I'm not going to do anything about it. I'm just going to keep it this way and feel a little more. This is a knife then you know I'm not too worried about using. I wanted to have this knife because I do think it's about the best Kershaw out there, and there are a lot of things that this knife has gotten right that just make me, you know, that I've been thinking for a long time I wanted to have one of these permanently in my collection, and so now I've got this one and I'm quite happy with it. That's the background to it. I do have a question about it though. I've thought about repeatedly, and I just haven't done it yet, doing sort of a re-review of this knife. So reviewing this knife as if I'd never seen a Kershaw Knockout before. One of the reasons was that when I did my Kershaw Knockout review, I wasn't doing the top-down view that I'm doing now, where you guys get a nicer look at the knife. So I want to update some of my older videos into this format. So that's one of the reasons. The other reason, there is a slight change to this, and I think this is a knife that has maybe fallen by the wayside. It's not, you don't hear as much about it because it's been out for a few years, but I think this is honestly, in my opinion, the best Kershaw. Now, some of the Launch knives could be, you know, knives that I would like better, but in Canada, where those are illegal, this is a pretty nice option. Anyway, so the Kershaw Launch, Kershaw Knockout has been in my pocket an awful lot. I'd forgotten how comfortable it is, how easy to carry, American made, reasonably priced. I know these are a little more expensive than the overseas made Kershaws, but I think that's an easily justifiable, you know, $70, $75. Let's see, what is next? Next is the Steel Wheel Cut Jack. You know, this is such a great knife. I'm so pleased that Steel Wheel came up with this. This may be in my top 5 or top 10 knives of the year this year, because it's just such a well done blade. You know, when a knife comes along that I feel like can hang with the Rat 1, which I've also been carrying quite a bit lately, I mean, that's a pretty rare beast, and the Cut Jack is definitely an exceptional knife, and so lightweight, so easy to carry, and just really well done, at least in the FRN D2 version. Rat 1 has been with me an awful lot as well. I've been, you know, working a little more outdoors and stuff like that, and so when I do that, I'll often bring a knife like this, where, you know, this is a knife because I feel like it's heavy duty enough that I can do some outdoor tasks if I need to. And the other thing is, if I, you know, if I'm walking through the forest and I lose it, it's not the end of the world. Or if I'm on a construction site and it drops out of my pocket and is never to be seen or heard from again, I'm not going to cry as much as I would even if I lost, say, this knife, which is not a lot more money, but a little harder to replace. So this is another one that's been in my pocket a lot. Now, here is the next knife I want to share with you guys, and this knife is another knife that I'm considering for my top 5 or top 10 knives of 2016. The list is growing, so I've got I've got a list going. I'd love to hear your suggestions about that, by the way. But this is on my list for consideration at this point anyway. This is the Boker Lateralis. This is the G10 version. What an amazing knife. The design from Stout is just fantastic. The action is great. It's lightweight, it has good action, great usable blade shape. Like, this knife really checks a lot of boxes for me. And so I have been carrying this a lot. As I say, you know, it's rare when I find a budget knife that I feel like can compete with this or even kick this out of my pocket, and this has certainly done that fairly often. So it's nice to see a knife like this that's reasonably budget friendly. Anybody who wants this could, okay, I know it's about $100, but that's Canadian, by the way, but that's not outlandish for someone to be able to save up and get. It's not like you're trying to buy a Sabenza or something else. So yeah, this guy's been in my pocket a whole lot, and I am absolutely loving it. You should look forward to an extremely positive review on this. The only one issue I have is pertaining to this thumb stud, or this choil here. I wish it was big enough for a full finger choil, or small enough that you get the extra cutting edge. It's just kind of in this weird no man's land. Okay, what haven't we looked at yet? Okay, let's get into some knives that have been sent to me by others. This is the Kaiser Toro. I have been carrying this. It's really right up my alley. It's very comfortable. Got a big blade. It is a weird action, okay? This has 2 detent balls, which makes things a little strange and definitely makes it difficult to actuate the knife one-handed. But with that one little thing that I'm still kind of up in the air about, otherwise I've been loving this knife. And this knife has come to me from my good buddy Nick Shabazz. Probably if you're watching my channel, you're already subscribed to Nick, but if you're not, go over and check him out. I think he does a great job, generally speaking. Him and I have some differences, and that's what makes life more interesting. We have some really interesting, fun conversations where we kind of poke fun at each other's biases. But anyway, this knife has come from Nick and is visiting for review, but I've been carrying this thing and absolutely loving it. Really, really nice knife. Definitely the Kaiser that I was most interested for this year. What else have we got that's visiting? Let's see, this guy is visiting from Zell. Nice little knife, very comfortable in hand. Nick talked a lot about the grip on this knife. By the way, I'm pretty sure it's the exact same knife. Zell sent this to both of us. Obviously, he sent it to Nick first, and now he sent it to me. And a lot of things are done really, really right on this knife. And I've been carrying this, of course, primarily for review, but I've got to say I really like it. So I've also been sort of picking up any other excuse that I can to carry this one around a bit. So yeah, this, I don't even know what model it is. I think it's the 718, but I could be, don't quote me on that. All right, so there you go. Been carrying this one quite a bit, and I do kind of like it. The only issue I have with it is I wish they'd gone with some other kind of texturing. They've gone with the Wii logo everywhere here. Kind of reminds me of SOG. You know how SOG loves to just go SOG, 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 SOG all over their knives. Wii's symbol is a little classier and a little more understated than SOG's, but nonetheless, that is the only issue that I really, or that is the biggest issue that I have with that knife. What else have we got here? Let's keep with our theme of other people's knives. Here is the Zero Tolerance 0909. And, you know, I knew by looking at this knife that it was one I would be interested in, but I just haven't had a chance to pick one up. There's a lot of knives that are demanding sort of some of my funds, and so I'm like you, I can't buy every single knife that I want to buy. And this has certainly been one that I was wishing to buy, and I probably will at some point because it's so good. And again, this is a knife that I've been finding excuses to carry because I absolutely love just about everything about it. So look for a review on this guy coming up, and it's going to be a pretty darn positive review. There are a couple little hiccups, but overall, I am absolutely enjoying this knife and carrying it every chance that I get when I can, you know, at all justify it. So there you go. By the way, thanks Scott for sending that one along. That's Real Bush Monkey EDC on Instagram. What else have I got to share with you here? Let's get this guy out of the way. This is the Sharp by Design Mini Typhoon, and this is a full custom, and I was able to get in on a second run of these that Brian was doing. You've probably seen my review recently. I've got to say, this is such a well done knife. And I'm super, super happy I was able to get a hold of this one. I've been absolutely enjoying it. You know, you guys probably know that I'm a preacher, and as a preacher, I often need sort of a gentleman style knife, and this really, really fits that bill. It's kind of a little bit smaller, it's nice and lightweight. The other thing is the S90V steel is stupidly sharp, and I have done all kinds of cutting with this and just cannot make it go dull. Like, it just does not dull, which is an absolute joy. Even though I know there are some limitations to S90V, I've been really enjoying it. If you know what you're getting, you know, then it's not an issue. Okay, let's do two more. I've got this guy. This is the Ultimate Hunter, and this is one of Cold Steel's nicer knives, and certainly one that I feel like, I don't know, is more broadly appealing. Okay, so if you don't know what I mean by that, you know, this is a knife that I feel like I could recommend to pretty much anyone in any situation, and it's going to do well. Okay, you know, it's nice edge geometry, it's toughly built. It doesn't matter if you're bushcrafting or, you know, you're sort of doing an urban EDC type of thing. This knife will just about fill any role you can think of. It really can. So great knife. And again, because I've been doing some outdoor stuff and some construction stuff, I've found a need to get this knife and put it in my pocket. One more, and this knife remains one of my favorite high-end production knives of all time. If you want to spend a good amount of money and you want to get something really, really spectacular, I highly recommend the Rillette Knives Torrent. Now, there are a number of other Rillette designs that are really nice and really expensive and will satisfy that for you. One, these have come down in price a bit. I think you can buy them new for around $325. On the used market, probably around 300 bucks. And you know, this thing is just phenomenal. It does everything that a really high-end knife should do. The ergonomics are great, the design is great, it's simple, it's you know, complex enough, but it's not gaudy or overstated. The steel is great, the action is phenomenal, the ergos are really, really nice. You know, just everything that I want from a really good high-end knife, this delivers. In fact, it delivers better than even some much more expensive knives. So I think in terms of high quality, you know, high-end stuff, you're hard-pressed to do better than Rillette. And if you just want to experience what's it like to have one of these extremely well-done, nearly perfect engineering and perfect fit and finish and perfect action and all of that, this is a great knife for your consideration. Okay, there you go, guys. That's all the knives that I've got to look at. Let's try and get some of them back in frame here just to kind of remind you of all the things we've looked at up to this point. Don't forget to comment on some of the questions I asked you. I'd love to hear your responses to all those things that I was curious about. I'm not going to have room to fit all these knives back in here. I'm going to have to, let's see, overlap a few things. Maybe I can squeeze one in. Ah, no. There was an earthquake. There we go. Squeeze one in under the camera. That's why you don't try to do that. Let's see. Slide this one in at the top. There you go. So there's all the knives we've looked at. Hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will talk to you soon.